guys, it's Gina, and I am here today with my August wrap-up. Now, I've read quite a few books in August, and I'm pretty excited about them all. In total, I have read 17 books this month, and it just blows my mind that I was able to read that much this month, and it's just fantastic. So without further ado, let's get into it. These first 8 books I'm just going to name off and give you my star rating because they are the 8 books that I read during the BookTubeAthon. So if you want to know my thoughts on any of these books, go ahead and click on the book because I will link my wrap-up right here. The first book that I read, Tim Burton's The Illustrated Corpse Bride. I gave this a 3.5 out of 5 stars. The next book is Armada by Ernest Cline, which I gave a 3 out of 5 stars. The book after that is Every Day as well as 6 More Days by David Levithan, both of which I gave 4 out of 5 stars. Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children by Ransom Riggs, which I gave a 4 out of 5 stars. Quidditch Through the Ages by J.K. Rowling, which I gave a 5 out of 5 stars. Noggin by John Corey Whaley, which I also gave a 5 out of 5 stars. And the last book that I read for the BookTubeAthon was El Deafo by C.C. Bell, which I also gave a 5 out of 5 stars. The next book that I read in the month of August was Isla and Happily Ever After by Stephanie Perkins. This is the 3rd book in the Anna and the French Kiss companion trilogy, and it was fantastic. I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars, just like the other 2 books in the trilogy, and I really enjoyed it. There were parts of it that were kind of like, okay, is that really gonna happen? But for the most part, I laughed. I don't think I really cried in this one. I don't know, it gave me emotions, and this one is a little bit different from Anna and Lola in the fact that she gets together with the guy really early on, and it goes through kind of their building their relationship and getting into the relationship, whereas with Anna and Lola, you kind of have to wait for them to get into the relationship. Like, it's building up to them eventually becoming a couple, but not with Isla. And with this one, we're back in Paris, and it's just fantastic. And just like with Lola and The Boy Next Door, probably some of my favorite parts were the little cameos that the other characters from the other books had. They're not so prominent in this one as they are in Lola and The Boy Next Door, but I did still enjoy it. The next few books are all graphic novels, and the first one is Anita Blake Vampire Hunter, The First Death by Laura K. Hamilton. I ended up giving this a 4 out of 5 stars. I enjoyed it. I liked being in the early stages of Anita's world. The next book I have here I absolutely loved, and that is The Wraith by Joe Hill. This is a prequel to his Nosferatu book, which I also really loved, and it was so creepy, and the artwork is just fantastic. This is just some of the artwork from the back of the book, so it doesn't really spoil anything. But the artwork is just fantastic. The artist of this graphic novel is Charles Paul Wilson III, and his graphics are just so creepy, and it really gives you the feel of the creepiness of Christmas Land and the creepiness that you get from reading Nosferatu, and it was just so perfect. And it ties in with Nosferatu so well. So if you're a fan of Nosferatu, I definitely recommend this because it was a fun and very creepy read to get back into Christmas Land. The next graphic novel that I read this month was Through the Woods by Emily Carroll. I gave this a 5 out of 5 stars. It was so good, it was so creepy, it was fantastic. I want to own a copy of my own and just reread it every Halloween because it was so good. Basically, this is 5 short stories almost, only told in graphic novel form, and they're just stories. They're just 5 random stories that are just creepy and kind of all surrounding the woods, and that's really all I can say about it without giving too much away. But it was fantastic, and I definitely recommend it if you're into Halloween or if you really like graphic novels. It was just really good, and I like the artwork in it, and just everything about this book was fantastic, and I can't wait to own a copy of my own someday. And the last graphic novel that I read this month was Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children by Ransom Riggs. I did give this a 5 out of 5 stars, where I said earlier that I gave the actual book a 4 out of 5 stars. I really loved this book. I loved the graphic novel, and I loved the book itself. So in total, I would give them both a 5 out of 5 star. But I'm going to stick with my gut feeling and kind of what I felt initially with reading Miss Peregrine's. So I did give this a 5 out of 5 star, and I think it's a great companion book to the actual novel. I don't know if I would have enjoyed it as much had I not actually read the book beforehand, but I did really enjoy it. The next book that I finished this month is A Game of Thrones by George R.R. Martin. I'm so glad that I finally picked this book up. It was fantastic. I loved it. I cannot wait to jump into the second one. I gave this a 3.75 out of 5, leaning more towards 4 out of 5. My rating is kind of tricky with this one because while I loved it, there were parts of it that were just kind of meh. So it's tricky. That's why I'm kind of leaning more towards like just under a 4-star rating, but at the same time that bothers me because it's like you might as well just round up to the 4-star rating to begin with, unless you're gonna give it like a half star. I liked it enough to give it more than a 3.5, but at the same time I don't feel like I enjoyed it enough to give it a 4. If that makes any sense at all, probably not. But that is what I gave it. I really liked the characters. I actually really enjoyed the multiple point of views because you get different tastes of everyone's stories, and it was just fantastic. The next book that I listened to was another audiobook, and that is Tina Fey's Bossy Hands. I gave this a 4 out of 5 stars. It was really fun and enjoyable to listen to because Tina Fey reads it herself, and I just overall really enjoyed it. I am somewhat a fan of Tina Fey. I like her movies. I've never really been a big fan of SNL, and I've never watched her show 30 Rock, but I do enjoy her as a person, and listening to this book was just fantastic, and I laughed out loud at a few points, and it was just really good, and I definitely recommend it if you're a fan of Tina Fey. Also, if you enjoyed Amy Poehler's memoir, you would probably enjoy this one as well. And the last book that I read this month was Girl on the Train by Paula Hawkins. I kind of read this on my ebook a little bit, but then the last half of it I listened to it on audiobook. I prefer the ebook compared to the audiobook because the audiobook, it was just too confusing with the different characters, even though they were different voice actors for the different multiple point of views, but it was just easier to keep track of on ebook. I don't know. I liked it. I liked it enough. It was kind of meh for me. I don't know. I'm still kind of mulling over my thoughts and my feelings for this one. I might do a video review for it. If I do, I will leave it in the description below once it is up, as well as linking it on the screen once I have it up. But it was alright. I didn't love it as much as I was hoping I would. The twist, I kind of figured out close to the reveal of the twist. Like, it didn't completely blow me away with what it was, and just, it was overall okay. I feel like it would have been a lot better had it not had the multiple point of views, because I feel like Rachel was our main character anyway, even though we had the different point of views. I will say that I did enjoy how each character had a different tone and a different voice. Like, they didn't all sound the same when reading them. So I did enjoy that aspect of the different point of views, but I don't necessarily think that they were necessary. That's a lot of necessaries. It felt strained almost when we were going into the two other girls' POVs, and it was just odd. I don't know where I'm going with this. I kind of liked it. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it, but I didn't love it. That's basically what I'm trying to say. And that is all that I read in the month of August. Can't believe I read so much. I don't think I'm going to be reading that much in September, but we will see. I don't really have any TBR plans for September. The only things that I do have planned for September is to work on Dead Ice by Laurel K. Hamilton, as well as The Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss. These are two really chunky books and will probably take up most of my August. If I read anything else in the month of August, it will probably be audiobooks, and it just kind of depends on what I'm feeling, because I suck at TBRs, so I'm not going to commit myself to anything. Like, I'm not even fully committing to these, even though I would like to finally get to them. But if you want to see what I am reading in the month of September, be sure to add me on Goodreads and you can get all of my updates and see what I'm reading. Link will be in the description below if you do want to follow me on Goodreads. But that is all I have for you guys. Thank you so much for watching. What I want to know from you is, what was your favorite book that you read in the month of August? For me, it's a tough one. There are a few. I would say it's a tie between Noggin and Through the Woods, because both of those were so fantastic, and I'm still thinking about them both, and they're just great. And I do want to reread both of them at some point in time. So again, that is it for me. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and be sure to subscribe. I hope you guys are having a fantastic day, and I will see you guys next time. Bye. So if you want to know, what I thought about any, So if you want to know my and I like how the artwork we made it clear. The next book that I finished this month is the